Welcome to the 37th chapter. The book of Exodus begins with the ark, going through all the objects that Bezaleel is going to make. Bezaleel from the tribe of Judah and his right-hand man. They are going now, it says they made the ark. Kivaton, same word as the ark of Noah's ark. It's basically a box, rectangular, sometimes square. It's an ark, and you put things in it. It's made out of wood, and of course, Noah's ark was huge, and this one's only 45 inches. We'll go into the dimensions here, but it was made from incorruptible wood, some type of wood that weather and the elements don't hurt it. It would last for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe even 1,000 years. 2 cubits and a half was the length, and that's 45 inches. And a cubit and a half was the width. That's 27 inches wide. And a cubit and a half was the height. It's 27 inches high. And he gilded it in pure gold. Katharo, we have cathartic, is pure, clean, from inside and from outside. So he was completely gold, inside and outside. Whenever you saw it, you saw gold. And he made for it a waved border twisted of gold round about. Now, I have these pictures, but I question as we go through. Here it is. I don't see the wave border on this one. So all these different pictures are on the internet, and I don't think any of them is correct. But I would make it with the twisted rim border around the top here, which this doesn't have. And then we'll go and say other things. And he cast for it 4 golden rings upon its 4 sides, which that picture had 2 rings upon the one side and 2 rings upon the second. So there's 2 rings there, and 2 rings are on the other side for the pole to go through. Now there's a problem, I think, with that, because we'll go into that. And he made bearing poles from out of incorruptible wood and gilded them with gold. So there again, that picture is not correct, and I couldn't find any better. This should be gold. These staves that go through there should be the same gold as the gold on the ark. Doesn't say anything about these legs, so that is another fantasy of the ark picture. And he inserted the bearing poles into the rings. Dactylius has a dactyl as a ring, and generally it has to do with a finger, but the rings, it's a ring. He inserted the bearing poles into the rings on the sides of the ark. Now this is important, the sides, 28, 27. Cletasi, the sides of the ark. Now we'll go back together, and there it is. It's on the sides. This would here I would call an end, and the other end there. But these are on the side to lift the ark by them. And he made the atonement seat lid of pure gold, basically the same size, 2 cubits and a half, 45 inches. And a half was 27 inches, so it's the same size to fit on the top. And there it is right there. And it's probably more of a squared object, I'm not sure, but that's how, if I was going to do it, I wouldn't make all this ornamentation on it. And he made 2 cherubims wrought of golden wrought. That means they were cast, or it could be. Or they could be fabricated with sheets of gold or something like that, but they're wrought out of pure gold. And he put them at both, here's the thing, of where? The kleton, the sides of the atonement seat. So I don't believe that's correct there. All the pictures have these cherubims on the ends. I believe that they are on this side and on that side, and have the wings were sticking out, but they touched, and they were bent over looking downwards. That's how I would do this picture, but there's nowhere to be found with the cherubim on the side. And the Greek is pretty explicit that way. Now, somebody that's into the Hebrew might say, well, that this is not necessarily the case, and I don't know the Hebrew well enough to argue the point, but I'm not doing the Hebrew, the Greek. And that's as the side. One cherub from this side, and you can add that cherub as cherubim in the New Testament, but not cherub. And this should be 55014 as it is down below for cherub. 55014. And this should be, you can add those to the English Derivatives book, and this should be green. And one from the second side of the atonement seat. And thus he made the two cherubim upon the two sides of it, right? So it's not on the ends. And the two cherubim were stretching out the wings above, overshadowing with their wings over the atonement seat. So no problem. They would be on the side, and they would be sticking out, and they would be covering over. Now, if it was on the end, and they were sticking out, how could they be over? Oh, they would be over. They would be further out. They wouldn't be over the atonement seat. So again, I think this proves that this is the case, that they are not as that picture proclaimed. And their faces to one another, to the atonement seat, were the faces of the cherubim. So they're facing one another, and here to the atonement seat were the faces. So I believe they were bent down, looking downwards, but towards one another with the wings spread out. You can't see my hands, but they're spread out, and that's how I believe it was. Now it should have a title here on next version. God willing, I'll have this separated with the table. And the table is next, and here's the table. It's fairly close with the breads and this waved border in gold and everything. And so we'll read now. It says, and he made the table from out of incorruptible wood. 2 cubits was the width, that's 36 inches, and a cubit, the breadth, 27 inches. So it's 3 feet by a little over 2 feet, and a cubit and a half, and 27 inches in height, 2 feet high. So it wasn't real high. Well, no. And he gilded it in pure gold also. And he made for it a twisted waved border, which that border doesn't, it's about as close as you're going to get. It's more a waved border around about. And it doesn't say, it isn't twisted though, so I think there's some type of a twisting in it. And he made to it Stephanin, a rim. Stephan, we have a crown, and here the Old Testament, a rim. You can add that to your English Derivatives book. It was a palm's width round about. And so now a palm is, I think they say 6 inches. So now it was a palm's round about. So it doesn't say, I put width in there, but I think or height. And he made a twisted wave border round about. I guess that would be that rim that he's talking about. No, it doesn't work. The rim, and he cast for it 4 golden rings, and same as they're cast into sand, some sort, and placed upon and placed the 4 rings upon the 4 parts by its feet. So, well, this doesn't have the rings. So all these pictures are really lacking. And under the wave border rim were the rings for a holder to the bearing pole so as to lift the table. So again, another bad picture, and I can't find any better. If you can find them, let me know. And he made the bearing poles from out of incorruptible wood and gilded them with gold. It doesn't show that in the picture at all, so as to lift the table. And he made the utensils of the table. A table is trapezes. We have the word trapeze. It's a trapeze is of course, used in carnivals and circuses where people stood on them. There were platforms and they swung. But it also has to do with a bank. Banking was done on tables in those days, and Jesus knocked the trapezes over when he went into the temple and cleansed it. And made both its saucers and its incense pans and things to make the breads maybe, and the cups, and there are things to put them on for the other lampstands and things, an incense altar, and the cups and the libation bowls in which the priests will offer libations in them, and that would have been a liquid of pure gold. So they were on that table also. Now another one I would change, add to the lampstand, and we have the lampstand here, and only one I found that I think is correct. All the other ones have them all curved and coming up. This comes off of the main branch. And so it says that he made the lampstand from out of pure gold, again, being a turned piece. So if it's turned on a lathe, it's not bent. It can't be bent if it's turned. And it says turn, torevtin. A turned piece, he made the lampstand, its stem, and the branches, and the basins, and the knobs, and the lilies were of it. So again, I see this lampstand, all these can be turned on a lathe. Everything here, and maybe not the flowers and so forth, but they are made. It doesn't say that they were turned. It doesn't say that they were wrought. They weren't put in cast into a mold. So far. And 6 branches were going forth sideways, 3 branches of the lampstand from out of its one side, which the picture shows correctly, and 3 branches of the lampstand from out of the second side, and 3 basins being shaped nut-like were on the one branch with a knob and a lily, and 3 basins being shaped nut-like on the one branch with a knob and a lily. So they're duplicates on both sides, thus to the 6 branches going forth from out of the lampstand. So 6 go out. And on the lampstand were 4 basins being shaped nut-like in the one branch, that's the one in the center, with the knobs and its lilies. The knob under the 2 branches of it, and a knob under the 2 branches of it, thus to the 6 branches going forth from out of the lampstand. And the branches and the knobs of it were entirely turned from out of one piece of pure gold. They weren't wrought. So it couldn't be these other ones. They're all bent and made and fabricated. This would have been done on some type of a lathe. And he made its 7 lamps, and its tongs and their oil funnels of pure gold. With a talent of pure gold, he made all the items of it. That should be changed there. Next one would be changed, will be altar of incense. Should have a heading here. And he made an altar of incense, and we have a picture of that, and there it is. And I believe this is a correct one with only 2 loops where they put the staves through. Instead of all the other ones have 4, and they're all on the sides. 2 on this side and 2 on the other side where staves would go this way, and here I believe this is correct as far as the Greek. So it's incorruptible wood again, a cubit, 18 inches was the length, and a cubit was the breadth. So it's 18 inches by 18 inches, and it's 36 inches in height. So it's actually higher than the table. And of it were its horns, and then we got the horns on the corner, and I believe this has there are the horns right there, not big horns, but I think they're probably way bigger than that. Animal horns. Kerata. And he gilded it with pure gold, and its grate, and its walls, and its horns, pure gold. And he made for it a twisted rim, gold rim round about, and 2 rings of pure gold he made to it under its twisted rims for its 2 corners on its 2 sides, for holders for the bearing poles to lift it by them. So now where they get these 4 rings, these pictures, and I don't know if the King James come out with that, or if The Hebrew has a good something for you to study, more than I have. And he made the bars from out of incorruptible wood and gilded them with pure gold, and the picture doesn't show the bars. And he prepared the oil of the anointing, the holy, and the composition of the incense, a pure work of a perfumer. So this man Bezaleel made all these things. He was a goldsmith. He made gold. Maybe the cherubim was wrought with gold, and he cast into molds the rings. He carpentry. He made all the wood. He gilded it as the goldsmith would know how to gild it with gold. And then he had a lathe, some type of thing that turned all these other pieces, and probably soldered them or brazed them somewhere together. And then he was a perfumer. He made these compositions of incense and the perfume for the anointing oil. So he was a chemist and a perfumer. All of these things, this man had all of these talents, a talented man, Bezaleel. And Eliab was this other man from Dan, I think, that helped him. So now we're going to go into the horned altar, and I believe this is the one for the whole burnt offering. So I should have the whole burnt offering horned altar. I'll have to change that into the next one. Next seminar, next video. Hope you join us. Learn all these things, and God bless.